We're starting off high.
We can get
I
a
think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to episode 80 of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
It would be me.
What's going on, sir?
You know life.
Yeah.
It's life.
That's life. I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ups and downs and everything in between.
It's life.
Oh. We don't have a lot of banner to get us going today, but you got any inadvertent thoughts to kick us off?
I did have an inadvert.
All right. Let's hear it.
It's a far out conspiracy.
Oh, I love it.
And I think it may be true.
Lizard people. Or the dreaded crab people.
Well, I don't even know if you could say it's a conspiracy. I guess where I was going to go with it was going to be over the top to,
Right.
present it with a teaspoon of sugar. But if I'm just being straightforward, I've noticed that the world is run by perverts and sexual degenerates.
Well, yeah. What's the first thing a dude with power wants? All of his sexual fantasies fulfilled.
I mean, yeah, I guess that is the case, but it just trips me out.
There's a whole South Park episode about this.
Is it?
What do you mean? He got rich and powerful to have sex with beautiful women? No, don't say it's true.
No.
It's basically all these famous celebrities that have gotten caught in like cheating scandals. And
No, okay.
shit.
Well, that's why you don't get married before you get rich.
Fair.
But I mean, it's not like I just noticed it, but I was shocked at the depth of it when I connected it to the Olympics.
Okay.
And this is way beyond, like the Norway team getting fined for not wearing the swimsuit bottoms at the beach volleyball game.
Gotcha.
Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
So they came out with the trunks that the men wear
Okay.
instead
of bikinis.
Right, and they
Props
got
to 'em.
fined for doing that.
Right.
But even beyond
But
that,
the gymnast didn't get penalized for wearing the full suit leotards, I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't think they did. There was definitely a female gymnastics team that didn't wear like the traditional like bikini cut. They wore
really?
like full leg
okay.
leotards. But continue.
They probably don't care as long as it's form fitting.
Right. I mean, honestly, in gymnastics, like, despite the objectification that comes with it,
It's to be loose. It's so you don't have constrictions.
well, it's to be loose, and it's so that like the clothing doesn't get in the way. While
Right.
it's a safety thing, I think, but does not hurt.
Because I remember in some games, like even playing football, depending on the shirt, I would have to take it off and just put my shoulder pads on raw.
Yeah, I hear
because
you.
I didn't like the where the shirt hugged my shoulders.
Oh, dude, I've got so much film of me from high school
like,
where I had like cotton t-shirts on under pads, and I'm like, it just looks bad. But on top of that, it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always
nowadays though, like Under Armour, like I wore Under Armour all through
right.
college, like something skin tight that just
and I mean,
gave you a little barrier between the chafing.
You're sharing pads, so I really didn't like them on my direct skin, regardless.
What up, Don? I see you out there.
Don out there, Donnie Brass. But yeah. But I noticed it when. Okay, so you remember the Olympics when that cameraman was so fascinated with that girl from Brazil?
Yeah.
That had the ass on her. And it seemed
was she a sprinter?
No, she was a volleyball
Oh, was it
player.
volleyball?
Yeah. But she was indoor.
Okay.
She was bad, too. I will give her that.
I mean,
I probably would have been fascinated.
I was a college volleyball fan for a while.
I probably would have been fascinated with her as well, is what I'm saying. But it seemed like, and it wasn't just her, but it was her where it was a big deal where it went viral. Like all the pictures were like in her ass and her crotch, like damn near like I thought she was getting the fucking pap smear or something like that.
Right.
Like they getting her. She's getting the X-ray right now. That motherfucking camera was looking inside that girl. Very intrusive is what I'm getting at. But when I saw that go viral, I was like, oh, he's probably going to get in some trouble for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I never heard anything about it, right?
Well, I mean...
And I doubt he did, because it's not...
I mean, you're probably not wrong there, but I also don't know that you would hear about them firing a cameraman, because cameramen get fired every day, and it's usually like it's usually a temp position anyways,
Right.
I mean, shit, I think Uncle Dave and Uncle Ray have done camera work for ESPN at different points because it's just contract work.
Uh-huh. So let me wrap this up. So anyway, I saw the same thing happen this year in a couple different sports.
I did too.
And I was like, oh, okay, so this it wasn't just that cameraman, this is a tradition throughout the Olympics.
Yeah.
Then, ironically, I saw a post.
It is interesting because, like, there are channels that talk about, like, just, the usual objectification of women, blah, and they talk about even in video games where, like, if you're playing as a female character, the camera angle on the females are different than the men.
Oh, really?
Like, the men male characters are usually shot from, like, shoulder level, kind of looking down if it's a third person, but female characters are almost always the gameplay is like from a lower angle to watch her ass, basically. And that's even video games and shit.
Well, they need to start making better asses in the video games. Maybe I'd start playing as the girl, but I wouldn't know that because I play as the guy all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I very rarely pick the girl out of the.
If you have like a male or female option.
Right. I have, but I very rarely do.
Depends on the game.
Right. It definitely depends on the game and, how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah. Like Mass Effect, I think the first time I played it through as the dude, but like this replay I went through was the female.
Now that's different. If I'm running it back, I might try new shit.
Yeah.
Starting out, I don't. But after...
Wrap up your thought. We'll come back.
After I noticed that happening this year, it was ironic. I saw a video on WorldStar, and it was a mashup of all the crazy camera angles that have been done in the Olympics, like, over the years.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, so I'm correct on this.
Yeah,
like,
this is a real thing.
This isn't just me thinking like this. This is really what it is. So it led me to, of course, not down the rabbit hole, but it just got me thinking, like, beyond any sort of sexuality, whether it be homo, hetero, or whatever you may be, the fact that there is just so much of it everywhere.
Yeah.
it's like, well, we know who controls the airwaves, right?
The four companies that own all of the media,
And
basically.
we know who they're owned by.
NBC Universal, Disney, Warner Brothers, and what's the other one?
Listen, I couldn't tell you.
There's one more like big player, but
I couldn't tell you. But what I'm saying is, when people, so right now the issue, right? It's an issue on both sides, but it's funny how the narrative gets, and in some cases it is a direct attack at someone specifically or a specific group of people, but it's crazy how the narrative gets flipped to a certain thing specifically when it's really just all sexuality in general. You know what I mean? Like at one point there was a time, like even when we were in high school, like you had to wait until 3 a.m. to watch BET Uncut to see the WAP videos,
right,
and
that
the
kind of
Nelly
stuff.
tip drills and the all that. And now it's just so easily accessible. And not only is it not only is it so easily accessible, it's taught. You know what I mean? Like
it's more prevalent.
Right. We even had that last podcast where we were talking about the New York school where they were teaching the third graders masturbation and shit. And it's like when someone stands up and says, I have a problem with that, then immediately, and I almost think it is the powers that be leading a bunch of shows or
yeah, it's interesting right now because you've got the I mean, honestly, it's like the Assassins and the Templars. You've got the anything is permissible over here, and then you've got the nothing is permissible over here. And we're not having that dialogue that gets us to the middle ground.
Right.
And I firmly believe that we as a society are better when we find the middle ground.
I mean, I feel like it has to be. It has to be room for choice.
Right.
I completely understand that, right? But my whole thing is, anytime somebody says I have a problem with Lil Nas X, his video, now you're attacking gays.
Right.
If you have a problem with Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion's video,
you have a problem with women.
With women expressing themselves. And it's like, who is it that is directing it to that specifically?
Absolutely.
Because that's
the same middle-aged white dude probably in both instances.
And then you have all the shows, the people that don't think for themselves, that follow suit, when it's like, you're missing the bigger picture here, and what you're doing is you're using this to diminish my concerns.
Yeah.
But my concerns are, I don't want my kids to see either.
Right.
Either of them. I don't want my kids seeing WAP. I don't want my kids seeing Lil Nas Kiss a Devil. I don't want my child seeing any of it.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some sort of separation going on to where this is adult time and this is child time.
Yeah. The problem is, and we've talked about this a little bit before, is the ubiquity of the internet, right?
Right.
Like even if you were to do that on broadcast television, nobody watches broadcast television anymore. Nobody watches cable television anymore. It's all streaming, which means it's all available all the time. Now you can do parental controls and those kind of things,
right,
but that's where we're at now. Like, you can't put a parental control on everything.
Right.
You can try. But guess what? If Karma wants to watch that video,
I mean,
she's going to watch that video.
Right.
It's more about how are you raising them to either interpret what they're seeing or to understand what they're seeing is not appropriate. And I get that right now because I'm going through that even with my 6-year-old watching fucking Minecraft videos on YouTube. Like, dude, this is not appropriate for you. These are grown-ass men who are fucking swearing up a storm,
Right.
talking about a game that you like. Like that's not okay. Like you can't watch that.
See, and that's the thing, and that's the issue. That's the issue as to why I feel like so many people have so many problems with bringing children into it. It's because they don't know what's appropriate yet.
Yeah.
Now is the time where you dip your feet in the water to get in trouble to see, oh, I can't do that.
Right.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, now
Right.
I'm starting to
Testing
understand
boundaries, yeah.
the way things work here.
And I hate to say this about my child, but he's a habitual line stepper.
Right.
And he comes from a long line of habitual line
Listen.
steppers.
Motherfuckers was stomping the yard where I come from. You hear what I'm saying? So.
No, I feel you. I mean, at the end of the day, that's... I do think that a lot of that responsibility, you know, where... I don't know, because I can go both ways with it. Like, I've seen the issues with over-censorship in terms of, like, the Parents Television Council and those kind of things in the 90s. Those were the advocacy groups in the 90s that would like write to shut down shows.
Right.
So I don't know. Like I have a little bit of an issue with that. But at the same time, I mean, again, I'll come back to it's a different world than it was 20 years ago when we were growing up. Like it was hard to get access to that stuff. Or harder anyways.
Yeah.
Like you had to have physical media to like you had to get your hands on something literally
right.
to be able to consume most of that type of content, or to your point, stay up till 3 a.m. and wait for BET to flip over or
right.
Cinemax to flip over or whatever it was. If you had those things.
And I would never want anybody to by no means dilute their content.
Right, but to your point, like it's about age appropriateness, right? And so, honestly, like parents today in that realm have it harder. It's harder to restrict that access. Whereas before, what would your mom would say? Go to bed, right? Like now it's like, no, turn off your phone. No, give me the tablet. No, you can't watch the Fire TV. Like it's everywhere, and if they want to get to it, they will find a way. But to your point, it's about teaching your kid what is appropriate, and when something's not appropriate, what's the course of action you should take. And then if you have questions about why it's not, talk to your parents. And parents got to be willing to have those conversations.
Right. But we know that doesn't happen. No,
I know it doesn't happen.
To their parents. I don't think I ever did.
Would we have been better off if we did sometimes? Maybe. I don't
know. Nah.
Maybe not to Pops. Maybe Jeannie.
Pops more than Jeannie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nah. Nah, you gonna have to find out the old-fashioned way. You gonna have to get a phone call. Cause
find a magazine.
Cause I ain't telling.
Nah.
But yeah, nah, I just, like people been saying, like, just, leave the kids out of it type shit. Like, let them be kids.
I hear you.
You got to be aware of it, of course.
I think it comes down to parental responsibility on that front. Like, it's not society's responsibility anymore because the age that we're in and basically the ease of access to content. Like,
and I get that. Then I feel like if that's the case, then stay out of it completely.
I don't disagree with that either. Now, I have let my child watch some things that I'm like, this is probably borderline.
Oh, I do all the time.
But at the same time.
But for that reason, you
right.
know what I mean? But especially because you're with me and.
Right. It's different when you're watching it with me than watching it with somebody.
Right.
It's funny. We had
things.
This conversation about like I flipped on NXT the other day, which is like the WWE's developmental league. And I liked that stuff when I was younger, like, and I'm like, all right, but I had to explain to him, I'm like, one, this isn't real.
Right.
Understand that, like, you can get hurt doing these kind of things. These guys are trained to specifically not get hurt, and they still get hurt.
Right.
And then two, like, it is not okay for you to watch this with your friends. Like, you can watch it with me, but this is not something you're going over to someone's house and saying, oh, we should pull this up and look at this. No. And if I hear about that, we won't watch it anymore, and your ass is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I kind of always leaned a little bit, and it's harsh to say, but I've always kind of leaned a little more to the old, what do you call it? The old, what was the name of the people?
I don't know.
Damn, I can't think of the name of the people. But the ones that would, like, they would let their kids play free, and it'd be like, well, shit, you fell off a cliff. That was a dumb kid to begin with.
Right, natural selection will take care of things.
And I'm not saying that I'll lead you to ride the line alone, but I'll let you put your hand to that fire.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. We had an incident probably, 6 months ago. Andrew made a bet. When he lost that bet, I told him he had to pay up.
Right.
And then I told him no more betting.
Right.
Jar was mad at me for letting the bet carry through. I'm like, look, he's got to learn. Don't bet unless you're willing to lose.
Listen. Those are small stakes, too.
Right.
Better learn that way than,
right.
the latter.
Better learn with it when $5 is a lot of money to you. Better to learn that lesson when $5 is a lot to you than it is, talking 500, 5,000, whatever.
Yeah, man. I mean, scared money don't make no money.
And that's why I said, and when you're ready to gamble, go talk to Uncle Cliff.
Listen, scared money don't make it, and you can make it.
So you did kind of spin me up on a potential topic.
Uh-huh.
So we started diving into female leads in video games. Top female leads in video games.
Top?
Yeah.
Now,
games that you played that you like that have kind of a female lead character. So you're playing as a female lead. Or it's an option and it's one you've played. So for me, like Mass Effect, kind of going back and redoing this, the remastered trilogy, playing it from that perspective. And honestly, it's funny because when I play games like that, the first time I play it through, it's always like all the good choices, all the ones that give you like the light side bonus or the Paragon bonus versus like the bad guy or the renegade. And then playing back through with the female has been like a little bit more even split in terms of the actions and the dialogue choices and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I usually make same decisions all through the game. I usually can't really change up the decisions because I feel like that's just not something I would do.
I hear you on that. And that's the way I play it through the first time. But if I'm playing it back, I definitely go back and take the dark path or the darker side or whatever the case is in that regard.
Nah, I always try.
Always try to be the good guy. It's interesting.
Not necessarily the good guy, because sometimes my choice is the bad choice.
The bad choice, I hear you. But you're making your choice, like the choice you would make in that moment.
Right.
It's interesting. Telltale, who does like the point and click adventure games and that
like
stuff.
The Walking Dead and the
when they've published their results, and it's like 80% of people that play through the first time make the more moral choice. But what they try to do when they design the game is to make it so that no choice seems like it's more moral. Meaning,
like
it's so that it's more an even split when people play the game. Like, do you kill this person to save this person, or do you try to save, flip it, right? Like, which I always find interesting. Because usually, even in those situations, it's like, nah, that one's a dickhead.
Well, no, you know what? I usually gauge my answer off of when it comes to those situations are who could have prevented it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who stumbled into this situation from fucking up, not paying attention, or
I hear you on that.
who just got into a tight spot. I'm going to help the tight spot.
The one
guy,
that just ended up.
your liability anyway. And I don't want you watching my six.
I hear you on that. Definitely.
So it's usually something like that. Or if I caused the accident and it's like, well, fuck, I guess I gotta. Even though I don't like him, it was my fault.
Right. Which honestly,
unless I really don't like him and I'm like, I'm still.
Maybe it wasn't an accident.
Right.
But yeah, the Walking Dead games are good for that kind of stuff because usually
I like those too.
Telltale does a good job of making it more morally ambiguous.
They're just not usually long enough to really, like, I think that, okay, so let me put it like this. I don't think that any specific production company has actually taken that model and run with it.
The only one that I think has done a relatively good job
like
has been BioWare. No, because Final Fantasy, despite the fact that so BioWare is like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and those ones.
But Mass Effect, you actually did shit. Like
but you still make choices throughout the game.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like I hear what you're saying in terms of like the Telltale style,
right? Like that Walking Dead.
Yeah,
style
no one's done it really well except Telltale.
Right.
But even when
they do like half games, like they don't do an actual like we're gonna create a game just like this.
Their model was interesting. I mean, they're out of business now, but their model was interesting in the sense that they were doing like episodic releases, meaning it was like 5 or 6 chapters. And honestly, the Walking Dead one, like, I think it is 1, 2, and 3, like the 3 major installments. I think they go
up to like 5.
They had spin-off games. So the first season,
I know with the black dude, then they had the Clementine
was Lee,
girl.
and then it was Clementine, and then it was like somebody that Clementine ran into. But if you think about those 3 seasons, like that's Clementine's story. You only play as her for the middle season, but that entire story, like that is a full arc for Clementine. And that one, season 1 of that game is just so fucking heart-wrenching. Like when you flip from, spoiler alert, for Telltale Walking Dead Season 1, when you flip from being Lee to being Clementine at the end and you have to decide whether to let Lee turn or shoot him, that's an emotional moment in a video game.
Is it?
No, Cliff just shot him. Like, well, bye.
I mean, that's what you gotta do. Like, that's what you gotta do. Like, I would much rather...
I hear you, but that goes back to, are you putting yourself in the character's shoes or are you putting yourself in your shoes? Put yourself in a little
I think even in
9-year-old girl's shoes. How hard would that be to pull the trigger on the only person that you've been around for the last 6 months that cares about you?
Yeah, I guess that is a little lonesome, but it doesn't matter. It's already done.
He's going to die anyways, yeah.
The decision was made when he was bit.
When he got bit.
It's done. So
I don't disagree. I pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger. You know what I mean? But it was hard.
I don't think I would have an issue with that with anybody.
Yeah. Well, you got bit. Bye.
Right. Like, I don't think... Now, I would have an issue with it if you said you didn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm cool. I'd rather just do me when I turn type shit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if you were like, nah, just go ahead and get it over, like, I don't think that there's anybody that would come to mind that'd be like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know if I could do that.
Nah, G, if that's what I get it. This is for you, not me.
Your child.
Well, see, that's different.
That's the only one where I don't think I could do it.
Oh, I could still do it. Yeah, I could still do it. Because, once again, it's not for me. I'm not looking at it as...
You're not looking at it for you. Yeah.
I'm looking at it as I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Because this out is better than what's coming.
Yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of instances.
Like to spare you of that if I have this is all I can do for you at this point.
Yeah, there are plenty of instances of that, like throughout the Walking Dead like TV series, where they find like the family that either turned together or the family that killed themselves. And so I think that's a...
Nah. Now, see, me, that's the thing. I don't think I could.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be out of a fear of doing it to myself, just out of, like, that she really, if somebody else was to, that's different, but you...
Yeah.
Like, that seems like a
Taking
little
yourself
too...
out,
Right,
it
seems like a little too desperate to me.
Gotcha.
And I don't think I could get that low. I'd probably be the one zombie still roaming around with everybody else dead around him in a locked house.
Yeah. I don't know. These are the questions we ask on Two Fools Agree.
Listen, I'm hard-headed as fuck, man. I am. But, I mean, I feel like that's my superpower as well.
Yeah.
Because it's more so than being hard-headed, it's a lock-in. I don't know a lot of people that can lock in the way I can.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, I mean. I can lock into a situation where it's just like, okay, that's all that matters right now. Everything else is a blur.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is definitely a skill set. And I mean, I will say, and I don't mean for this to come off as the generalization that it is. Yeah, I do. Typically, men are better at compartmentalizing. Meaning, like, what we're engaged in at any given moment, that's our focus. And we don't think about things outside of it.
Even when it comes
and I say that to, like, my own detriment. Like,
right.
Once I'm in a certain mindset, like, that's all that matters.
Right. Even when it comes to emotions,
yeah,
it's almost like I treat it like a thing.
Yeah.
Like
I know what you mean.
Something that gets on me. Like, oh, no, wipe that off.
Right.
Keep that there. You know what I mean?
It's not always healthy, but yeah.
I think so.
No, I mean I get it, because I do the same thing.
I do think it is healthy to feel, to submit to your feelings.
But it's also not a bad... I think what you're saying is it's not a bad thing to be able to self-soothe.
Some feelings to me are just unnecessary. Like, that is just an unnecessary feeling.
I hear you.
Especially when you know you won't be feeling it a month, 2 months later.
Yeah.
Why feel it now?
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's just something you're gonna have to go through, and the only thing I have control of is the duration of time I go through it.
Right.
So
that's
yeah,
not wrong.
I'll feel it once. That's enough. Let's go.
Right. And I think we're talking about, like, what I would call standard situations. I'm not talking about somebody who's clinically depressed or chemical imbalance and that kind of shit.
What's that mean?
But meaning those feelings of sorrow and grief are not external, meaning it's not caused by an external situation. It's caused by just chemicals. I mean,
even external.
I'm saying external is easier to push through than if it's internal, meaning if there's a reason for it, I think that your approach makes more sense. If there's no reason for it, that's what I mean by, like, external versus internal. I do think when you're talking, like, clinical depression, people who are suicidal, those kind of things, like, most of the time, that's not due to external forces acting
like a
on
reason.
Yes.
You're just dealing with that in general. And I've been there. I just call that a rut. I'm just in a rut at the moment. But that doesn't mean that is a label you can put on me.
No, I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do that with physical pain. It could be a knife in my arm right now, and I still tell to myself, okay, it's cool. Like, it's done. Like,
could be a hatchet.
That pain's over. So get over it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Superpowers. I'm a fucking superhero.
There you go.
I just don't know how to use my powers. They call me the human pincushion.
The empathizer. Or the anti-empathizer.
I guess it have a bit more. No, I empathize. Because I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what goes on in your head. I don't know that if this, like I say, like I may joke around and say it's a superpower. Maybe it is like... It's crazy how some people could listen to what I was saying and be like, no, that's bad. And I think to myself, like, no, maybe it is actually a gift that I've been given.
Yeah. The ability to...
Just cut it.
Right.
Just cut it right then and there.
No, I mean, I get that. I think that I could see situations where I'd be envious of that. But for the most part, I'm similar in that regard. Like, shit can happen and give me a day and usually I'm good.
Right.
So.
But, I mean, shit.
But that all started off with video game characters and making choices.
L.A. Noire.
L.A. Noire.
That was the best one in my opinion. That
In
tried
terms
to
of the
do
ones
it.
where you made
Decision
choices.
making mixed in with the
How the story unfolds.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
I agree with that. I tried to play that game a little bit, but I couldn't. I don't know that the graphics and technology were far enough along that I could get behind it. Because that was the one where, like, you had to basically
read facial
interrogate
expressions
and, like, read body
catch
language.
twitches and
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, I do that anyway, so it was kind of fun to see how they would try
Interpret
to
it.
do that as a game. And I know in shit like that, it's kind of like making music where you have to dumb yourself down for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little like overboard. You know what I mean? Like
They
kinda making it
overused
too
the gimmick.
easy.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the game, it tells you like your stats on how many
How
you got
accurate
wrong
you were.
and right. And I think I was like, I did get one wrong, but out of however many decisions in the game, like 120 or something, I was like 119 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was because I felt like that was for the people. You know what I
Right.
mean? The people that don't usually look for those things
Those
or
cues.
think about those things. We got to make it obvious for you.
Yeah. No, I think that makes
But
sense.
shit, I'm a motherfucker that, listen, you can tell me what to do. I'm listening to your inflection.
Right.
You didn't sound too confident about that. I don't feel comfortable with what you're telling me I need to be doing.
Transparently, like, that's dealing with management 90% of the time.
Listen.
Do I sound like I'm saying you have to do this, or I'm saying, hey, maybe we should?
Even if you say we have to, I'm going to let you know.
I'm going to wait till you ask me a second time.
I'm going to do this.
Or the third time.
But just know that I feel uncomfortable about it.
We got shit going on like that right now with my boss's boss, where she's asking for something that really we've been doing for the last 6 months, and she's asking for in a new format and that kind of stuff, and I'm just like,
That's every day.
she doesn't
for me.
look at it at all.
That's every day for me. Motherfuckers that have never done your job telling you what to do on your job, and it's like, all right, I don't care. But when this shit crashes,
Then
I'm not gonna fix it. You're gonna have to have these little new motherfuckers do that shit, because I told you. I'm not doing it.
Listen.
Listen, you can put it down as insubordination or whatever you would like to do. But I said what I said back when I said it, and I'm not about to pay the price because I was the one that told you this was going to happen.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Try to be chewy. Try to be chewy. Gotta be more chewy, less Hans. You know? Chewy kept his mouth shut and saved the day. Hans was the one that got everybody into the bullshit. Yeah, you popped off every now and then and got people out of it, but you got us in more bullshit.
No doubt.
You got us out of.
And Chewie's always sitting there like, dude.
Chewie's the employee in Hans's management.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, and I would venture to say that Chewie is the only redeeming factor of the Disney era Star Wars movies. When he looks at Han, like just the little shit that they do with him throughout those movies.
What are the Disney era Star Wars movies?
The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker. Those are all the ones with like the Black Stormtrooper with Finn and the Rey, the female Jedi.
I've seen those.
But Chewie's character in those, like, they give him so many one-liners in The Force Awakens where you obviously can't understand him. But like him and Han are debating about something. He's like, "When have I ever steered you wrong?" And Chewie's like, he's like, "That was years ago." Or the other one that always gets me is they're out on this ice planet and Han's in like this big like snow jacket and shit, and Chewie just grumbles something at him. He's like, "You're cold."
But you know what though? With the analogy of Hans being management and Chewie being the
employee who just gets shit done,
I would trust Hans more.
Oh yeah,
I would, even though
you speciest.
He got me into shit. The fact that you're so confident, I know that if it does work,
right, it's gonna work real well.
Right. And he feels confident, so I'm confident in him.
In him, yep. You're not wrong. Or I'm going to do everything I can to make him right because he's so confident. Right. Honestly, I think that's how I got my job. If you act confident and cocky long enough, people either believe you or they throw you to the side. And sometimes you can trick even yourself.
Man. It's all common sense. It's all zeros and ones.
It's true.
You just got to see how do these zeros and ones work in this situation.
Right. And I mean, 90% of the time, especially in big group settings, the person who is most confident in their response is going to be the one that gets listened to.
And you know what? That's always hurt me. That's always hurt me. Because even thinking back in the day, I'll never forget this. I was training at a specific company. Matter of fact, everybody knows the company by the company that shall not be named. And we were in training class, and I can't remember who asked the question. One of the people asked a question, and the trainer responded back like, well, of course, we're in a gray, they say that all the time.
We're in a gray area.
Right,
here.
This is a gray business, nothing's black and white. So, like there could be options in this scenario. And I said something like what I thought my answer would be. And of course, like how I am. So I'm like, well, common sense makes me think you would just do this, right? And she was like, that would definitely work. However, I would do this. And the dude that asked the question was like, nah, I'm going with what Cliff said. And the trainer's face just dropped like I can't believe he just said that.
Right.
And I was thinking, and I thought to myself, like, damn, like that kind of fucked me up. You know what I mean? Like that kind of put me at odds.
Yeah.
With her more so than you at odds for saying that.
Right, no doubt.
And it's followed me everywhere I go. Like even in this current job, before someone will ask the management, they'll come to me.
And get your opinion first.
Right. And I'm always gonna be me.
Right.
And when management asks me, I say because that way makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything in the process stating otherwise.
Right.
So why wouldn't they?
It's funny you bring up an example like that because that's what I'm going through right now. So basically, this company that we acquired back in November of last year has this big project that is just in shambles right now.
Right.
Same project that 6 months ago, I said, we should really have one of our people on that.
Right.
And the company that got acquired was like, no, we got it. Who got the phone call 2 weeks ago to take over this shit show of a project?
Right.
It is now being asked by not only the company we acquired, but the companies that they are working with, like, what can we do to fix this at this point? And I'm like, well, you can't really fix something that's broken 3 days before launch, but here's how you fix it going forward, and here's how you limp along to the finish right now.
We're in the same situation. The exact same situation you described. The only thing is you're asking the question to a bunch of fucking lab rats. And they're just running through the maze for their cheese, right? They don't know what the fuck is going on. And I've been saying for years since I've been there, like, what general doesn't have at least one infantryman in the planning room with them?
Right.
Like, y'all are dumb as fuck, and you're wondering why you keep bumping your head against the wall. It's because you don't know what it is we do.
Right.
So until you bring someone in to explain to you the process of what we do, to tell you that does not make sense, you have to wait until you figure out, oh, now we need to fix this because that didn't end up making sense.
Right.
Well, I could have told you that 6 months ago when you were
about
to implement this. But since you're a fucking lab rat, go ahead and run to that cheese. I hope they fucking shock you is what I'm saying.
Right. Well, and honestly, that was my biggest fear with the promotion that I got at the tail end of last year, was that, one, did that mean that now I was going to be expected to fall in line, whereas where before I could make a little bit of noise and push back because ultimately I wasn't the decision maker.
Right.
Now I'm a little further up the chain, and it's like, how far or how hard can I push before I put myself in jeopardy at that point? And so far it's been so good, and it's good because I have a good boss. Like, I have good air cover between me and basically the C-suite. But
listen, you want to bring it full circle? That's Andrew watching wrestling.
Yep.
That's how you know how far to push.
Yep.
You learn how far to push from getting in trouble back in the day.
Absolutely.
Which is why I wouldn't want my child not to get into any trouble, because then it's like, well, are you trying? Like,
right.
Are you trying?
Or are you just playing it safe your whole time, right? You need to push boundaries.
Period. Like they say, if you don't fail, you're not doing it right.
Right. Well, we're dealing with the be respectful to your parents thing right now, and we've come down on him pretty hard as of late, and it's
well, that comes from ass whoopings early.
Well,
y'all are never really the ass whooping type. It doesn't even really take ass whoopings, but it does take sometimes.
It does take a firm hand once in a while.
Right. It takes sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. It does take a physical dominance, and I don't mean dominance like making a child feel small, but letting them know,
like, you are not in charge.
Right. I'm king shit on this bitch.
Like, do you need me to carry you to your room right now, or are you gonna walk? Because I will snatch your ass up. I don't care that you're 105 pounds and 6 years old.
You just hope I snatch you up by arm.
Right.
Because if I grab you by the fucking ankles, I guarantee you might bump a few steps on the way up.
It's gonna be rough. I hit him with the fireman's carry, man, right over the shoulders. You can definitely knock their head that way. Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad. My bad.
That's police shit. We learn from the best. I learned from the best. Ah.
I got it.
Oh, but to answer your question, I don't remember the last lady it was I picked, though. I can't remember. I want to say it was in that and I know it's not exactly what you're explaining, the video game type, but that ancestry shit that I had you download.
Oh yeah.
The Joan of Arc missions or whatever were the ones that I tried to play the most of.
All right.
Because I've always been very fascinated with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically being a female crusader and.
Right. And I just learned about the archetypes, the 4 male archetypes.
Okay.
And that explains a lot.
I guess. Well, isn't that the whole philosophy basically behind like the Ninja Turtles and like even the Power Rangers to some extent? And like I don't know them offhand.
That might be right. Like Raphael would be the warrior.
Right.
Michelangelo would be the magician. What are the other two? It's the lover, the magician, or not the lover.
The king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover.
Okay, right. So the king would be Leonardo.
Yep. The warrior would be Raphael. The magician's probably Donatello, and Raphael's probably, Michelangelo would be the lover.
You think?
Well, I feel like the lover is usually more the...
I think that's more Donatello. I think Michelangelo's more the magician because he's the outside of the box one of the 3.
Okay.
He doesn't keep their, like, they don't even fight the same. He's having fun doing dumb shit out there, being magical, while y'all are focused on technique.
I can see that.
And then Donnie's the one that always wants to come to a rescue. That's love. You're the one that cares.
See, I almost look at Donatello as the magician, and again, without reviewing like the archetypes and the definitions associated with them, like the magician seems like the geeky like tech person to me. At least just hearing that stuff. Whereas the lover is more of a flamboyant personality, which would be more.
You are absolutely correct, because it doesn't mean what you love.
Right.
And you can tell that because Michelangelo is so different, he clearly loves something that is not of the same as his brothers.
Right.
Which is why they can't always wrangle him in.
Absolutely.
You got it. You listen, you broke that down there. But when I heard it, it was like, that makes a lot of fucking sense. And it was funny by the way I learned it. It was on the Fighter and the Kid podcast. Brian Callen was talking about it. And he was talking about how he had a friend who had a warrior archetype child. And they kept saying how he was bad and he always got into shit. And he was like, I had to explain to them, like, no, you're not using his energy the way he's meant to use his energy. You have to let him be that kid he is. You know what I mean? Like for instance, like I was that child. Like if I know you know my mom. My mom's very logical, academic, by the book.
Yeah.
And I was the kid that wasn't gonna play football or be involved in sports or anything like your dad. And the things I were best at were those things.
Exactly, the warrior.
Right.
Your mom was the magician, you were the warrior.
That's exactly correct. But see, that's why I honestly think that they gave me a little hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
Because I look at my siblings and I can see a difference in myself and them. But I know those are they're warriors genetically.
Yeah.
Like just the shit that happens lets me know, oh yeah, that's that warrior personality in you.
Yeah.
And that's why that ended up happening that way. But with me, it's like I feel like I can cut it off sometimes.
I hear you.
I didn't used to be able to. And maybe that's something that will come with them in time as well. But I didn't used to be able to, but I always... You know what? I'll say this, and I don't mean to call myself dangerous, but I feel like I was at one point I feel like the most dangerous person in the world is the one that knows better and still does it.
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you know,
if you don't know any better, like, it's ignorance. It can be learned.
Right. But if you knew, I knew this was a possibility that this could happen, and I still did it. That's danger, because it's like,
right.
And that goes back to the hard-headed. Once I have
warrior archetype.
Once I have that locked in, none of this matters.
Yeah.
You talking about consequence? Keep ringing off the sentence. I'm on my way. Right. Just hope you finish by the time I get there, because you're gonna have to sentence me.
No, I mean, that makes absolute sense.
I don't know if that's a superpower.
Well, that goes right back to your hard-headedness.
That's when you gotta summon the superpower when you're in that situation.
You're juggernaut.
Hard-headed. Like, just get the fuck over it. I wish I could break through the wall.
I don't know. For me, I think I've floated between, similar to kind of what you're saying, but for me, it's probably more like the king, the magician type. Like, even with the stuff that, like, we've done, and never do I mean, like, leading those things, but, like, always tried to help to, like, bring it together to move it forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely that. Yeah, no, I think I just got a little magician in me.
Yeah.
Just from, I feel like the humor.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, is a defense mechanism.
Shocker.
You know what I mean? It's a way to defuse.
Do I know what you mean? Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Defuse the situation before it gets to.
I'm just playing.
Now, and you gotta be the warrior.
Right.
So let's be funny first, and then if you don't
know
like
how to act right,
humor,
then
I got a whole nother archetype in me that you weren't aware of.
See, that's one that I wish we had talked about before the show, in terms of the archetypes, because I do think, like, there is meat to that topic, but I would have to go back and, like, reread some things around what are the elements of each archetype, etc. I thought you were going down the archetypes from, like, the hero's myth, which is almost always like the orphan child, the old wise man, the cunning rogue, or the roguish. Basically, it's Star Wars. You've got Luke Skywalker. You've got Han Solo, who's the rogue. You've got the old man, which is either Ben or Obi-Wan or Yoda. Like, it's fascinating to me whether it's archetypes, the structure of myth, the tropes, like, it's fascinating to me how a lot of the big stories and those kind of things, like the most memorable stories of our time, follow those archetypes, right?
Right.
Or follow those.
Because I mean, I feel like that's natural.
Yeah, it makes you like realize that, like,
we're animals
there's
at the end of the day.
There's something to those things, because all of our culture revolves around those things.
Right. We're animals at the end of the day, and any animal that does not have the ability to fight better be magic.
Right.
You feel me? Like, the chameleon will change colors to adapt to its environment. That's a magician right there.
Right.
But then you just got a lion that'll roar, and that's your warning before I take your face off. That's the warrior king.
Absolutely.
But it's all, like, that's what drives me so fucking crazy, is that it's like, I understand evolution and all that, if that's, you know, what you believe in. But just because we evolved does not mean that we dropped the genes that we had before evolution.
No, and I mean,
They're
at
still
the end
there.
of the day, like, the amount of DNA shared between us and every other mammal, not to mention, like, primates that we evolved from. Like, I'm with you. There are reasons why those things work, and you even see it in like gorilla families. Yes, you have the big silverback, which is the alpha male, the warrior king, kind of what you're talking about with lions. You also have the ones that have either learned how to use tools or know where the hunting grounds are, or you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you got the ones that just want to fuck.
I think there's more to it than that, though. You know what I mean? Like, so it's funny, right? Like, I know, and this is another thing that they talked about. Well, I don't know if they talked about it. They might have talked about it. I listen to so many different podcasts. I bleed them into each other.
Hard on podcasts.
That's all I do while I'm at work.
I've actually had to work the last 3 weeks.
I mean, but I gotta have something in the background while I'm working.
I hear you. And usually, like, if I'm doing my day job, which is like, okay, I'm taking information from other sources, figuring out how to reconfigure it, and then present it in a way that makes sense to others. Right now, I'm actually like managing a project, and it's fucking driving me nuts. Like, I thought I was done with this shit.
Listen.
But continue. I'm sorry.
You get paid for such, so I don't feel bad.
No, you shouldn't.
What was I saying? What were we saying?
You were saying you were listening to a podcast, and we were on.
Oh yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation, right? But what I will say is it makes me wonder. So, and this is just for this specific topic that we're speaking of, based on those archetypes and all that, because those archetypes fit for women as well.
Don't disagree. Or are there different archetypes?
There are different archetypes for women, but certain you can categorize each woman with those as well.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, I heard they were talking about like taking gender off of birth certificates, which isn't a problem if that's what you so choose to do, right? But my question is the natural order of things, right? Like, for instance, how, and they talked about it on the podcast as well. They said in a certain country they did like a social experiment where they took away like the norms of a situation and allowed whomever to go into the roles that they chose to go into. And they found that all the men ended up being the engineers, the construction workers, and all that, and all the women ended up being the nurses and all, and it went naturally back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because of our chemical balances, right?
Yeah, I mean there are things that
So, while you figure your words out, because I know it's a lot of people that are like, where is he going with this? So what I'm getting at is venturing into the new norm of no gender on birth certificates, and I imagine there will be a lot more, physical alteration to be who you feel comfortable with, things of that nature. I wonder if those norms shift. Because then I feel like it'll prove something to me, right? Because a man going to a woman, I feel like whether you feel like you were in the wrong body or not, you still have to take estrogen to become that woman, right?
From a physical standpoint, yes.
Right. From a mental, I could definitely understand you already being there. But I'm wondering, because now what I'm getting at here is now you're seeing... Do those
same norms play out for
exactly, because now you're seeing
for
transgender weightlifters and shit like that. And then that's where my mind goes, well, I'm not saying that women don't lift weights as well, but does that have to do with your male gender norm and you moving to a woman staying with that male chemical balance there? Because, like I said, there are women that fall under those archetypes as well. So
Well,
you will see women weightlifters.
This is the whole, is it nature versus nurture, right? Is it inherent when we're born, basically our personality or archetype, or is it something that's determined by the environment?
No, I think it's inherent.
I
think it's a bit of both.
I think it is more inherent than we probably wish to admit.
I think it's a bit of both. I definitely think you can be molded by your environment, but there are certain things that you cannot.
I think you are molded by your environment, but that just tells you what your levels are.
Levels, say more.
Meaning, I believe that to some extent your archetype is determined at birth.
Right.
But how amplified that archetype is, or if you have multiple archetypes that you're born with, what one becomes the dominant one is more a factor of the environment in which you were raised.
Right.
But to your earlier point, just talking about yourself, like,
well, I think
knowing something may not be the best idea and doing it anyways, I think some of that's just what you were born with.
Right. I think that, if you look at the
Are you
lineage,
inherently afraid, or are you inherently driven to push the envelope?
Right. And I think if you look at the lineage of where I come from, that goes to genetically.
Yeah.
That those things have been done by members of my family that I haven't even met before, that died before I was born. I can tell you that factually just by looking at the people I've come from over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. What up, Travie? See you out there.
Travie, awesome. What's poppin'? Happy birthday, G.
Definitely, happy birthday.
But with that being said,
August birthday is coming up, killing me.
Oh, what?
I said all you fuckers with your August birthdays coming up.
Listen, that's how we do.
Y'all all Christmas babies. You realize that, right?
Christmas babies?
Uh-huh. About 9 months after Christmas.
Are we sure? I think that's more. I think that's
I'm
more
sure.
November-ish.
You're either
October-ish,
Christmas,
November-ish.
9 months.
Well,
September would definitely be.
Well, doesn't it all span out?
But y'all
over
all
10?
late, right? It depends. Depends how premature you were.
What's that mean?
It means how early were you, or were you late in terms of the expected delivery date? Maybe you Thanksgiving babies. Maybe that's what it is. Y'all are in that holiday mix where you've coupled down because it's getting cold.
Starting to get cold. Right.
Happy birthday, Gordon. Shelby, I know yours is coming up if I didn't already miss it.
Is it Gordon's birthday today?
Gordon's birthday tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
The 7th.
Is it the 7th?
Yeah.
I thought it was the 6th. I don't know why I was thinking it was the 6th.
And then Shelby's is something in the
16th.
teens. Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was thinking when I was thinking 6.
Probably. I think you're right, because I think Shelby is the 16th.
Yeah. Well,
And then you're what, the 26th? 28th.
Uh-huh.
Amber the 27th. Kevin's the 29th. Matt and Megan are the 30th.
Yeah. Ashley's is the 16th, too. And my grandma's is the 27th. Gang.
Right?
Gang.
The August birthday squad. Sorry, me and Ashley will hold down January.
Wasn't nobody real born in January.
Those tax return birthdays.
Yeah, it's tax return birthdays. That ain't when you got.
What do you mean?
That would have been
April tax days.
That would have been.
That's
Yeah, I
December,
guess that is.
January.
I guess that is.
What other holiday we got?
I guess that is about
We're Earth
right.
Day babies.
I guess that is about right. Got them returns back.
Guess we gonna go get something.
Yeah, I guess that makes
Spending that money on a hotel room, I don't know. What's another good one? Who would the July 4th babies be?
The July 4th?
That'd be people born in April, March.
Oh, like conception.
Conceived in July
Okay.
4th, yeah.
So yeah, that would be about March.
I don't know a lot of March babies. I don't know a lot of March birthdays. Other than my wife, love you.
Andy. Yeah, no, I don't know a lot of March ones either.
So not a popular fucking holiday.
No, nobody cares about July 4th.
Ain't nobody want to be getting together when they all hot and sweaty.
But y'all got good AC.
Oh man.
How do we get to conceive dates?
Well, it started with all these fucking August birthdays and me trying to figure out why.
Yeah, no,
It's that Thanksgiving to Christmas, man.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely the time frame there.
Halloween, maybe.
I'm trying to see, my mind is going to like, what holiday, see that whole area, that whole time frame, like I think the fact that I'm thinking about the holidays specifically is what's throwing me off, because I don't think that any of those holidays, maybe Halloween.
Or maybe just because it was football season. Watching the game, having a good time.
Nah, that ain't how that worked. That's not at all how that worked. I'm thinking it was more Halloween.
Yeah.
Sexy costumes and shit. Cause who's fucking in November like that? Like that's not a go hard month.
That's where you lay low, hoping for December. And
They call
New
it
Year's.
No Nut November.
Right.
Motherfuckers is full eating and shit. They're not thinking about.
That's fair. That's fair. So
Working
maybe
that
it is
out.
Halloween.
Yeah, I'm thinking Halloween. You see that chick roll in with that badass police officer costume, and you thinking to yourself like, I'm about to Rodney King the shit out this bitch. Rodney King about to be like thumbs up for that one. I beat the shit out that cop. And here we are in August.
All right, here we go. So at about 1:09 is when we started the birthday analysis.
I beat the shit out that police.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just go through every month. So January, about tax return.
Halloween is now.
February, birthdays,
Halloween.
or Memorial Day weekend.
Halloween is now National Fuck a Cop Day.
I thought that was every day.
Oh, nope. Fuck them cops. That's the. Listen.
No comment. All right, so January tax return, babies. February, March is 4th of July. April would be end of summer.
April would be the end of summer.
Yeah.
That was the last snatch before it got cold.
Right.
It was like, okay, these festivals is wrapping up. Let me just knock something off for the long.
May would be, well, I guess April and May would both have to fall into that end of summer.
April and May.
Really, April, May, June. What are there's no holiday. Labor Day weekend, babies, that last cookout.
Who cares? Oh, yeah, I guess, right. Right.
I'm trying to think.
Nah, because that cookout is usually the day of a work day.
Yeah.
I guess unless you did it on Sunday. But do people grill out on the Sunday before or the day of Labor Day?
It depends. I feel like it's usually the Sunday before. Because to your point, everybody got to work the next day
Right.
on Labor Day.
Who wants to go to a barbecue where you gotta work the next day?
Right. I hear you on that.
What were we talking about before? We were talking about conception.
I don't fucking know. It started off with birthdays, and then I took us down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. What was it before the birthdays?
It was. Oh, we were talking about the female equivalents of the archetypes.
Oh yeah. Did I ever finish my point on that?
Probably not. I probably cut you off. I'm playing the role of Cliff tonight, where every time you start a thought, I just try to steer the conversation somewhere else. We switched roles tonight. This is good.
Listen, that's because some of your thoughts. Some of your thoughts should be kept to themselves.
Well, you're probably not wrong. I can't necessarily argue with you.
But yeah, no, I wonder how that ends up being like. Are you gonna see it? Nah, I'm not gonna say that. Fuck it, I'll say it. Are you gonna see a 6'4" construction worker in stiletto Timbs?
Talking about
like 15 years.
A female going to a male, trans man.
No, a male going to a female.
No, but I think that would actually prove the opposite.
Then you would see more butch construction workers.
Yeah. Which.
Do you see?
I mean.
I've seen one or two.
A fair amount of like female construction workers.
But those are also women.
Right, but what I'm saying is, are those
but not
really
like transitioning?
But how do you know? You ask them all?
Well, no, I'm saying the women construction workers. So the equivalent, the opposite of that, of what I was initially saying was, so then it would be, would you see a lot of 5'8", undersized men my height out on the construction site that were women transitioning to men?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think you do?
Yep, I do.
See, I wonder, because I feel like if that...
And I say that a little bit, probably stereotypically, so I apologize for that, but like, the female construction workers today are probably more likely to be homosexual.
Right.
I'm not going to say all men, but the men that I know that go into, say, nursing are homosexual. Like,
I know what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you're saying.
They lean towards those gender norms anyways.
But you also see homosexual men that are construction workers and truck drivers, and
yeah, because they grew up listening to YMCA
and Indians. And,
Speaking of Indians, who went and saw Tecumseh last week.
Why did they have to throw an Indian in YMCA? Was he a real Indian?
Probably not.
They made him wear that headdress. And
he's just light skinned.
They was like, we need an Indian. No, like a real... Well, just give me a brown guy that's willing to wear a headdress. That is crazy, man. This fucking world we live in.
It was interesting. So I will take it back to Tecumseh because we went down to Chile to see it last week.
Was that the Indian in the cupboard?
No, Tecumseh was... Oh, actually, the story of Tecumseh is very comparable to Fred Hampton. What he was trying to do was unite the Native American tribes into one tribe.
Right.
To basically take a stand against European Americans.
Indian Jesus.
And, of course, he was targeted and wiped out. But it was interesting.
And I don't say
go
that's.
back
I know
and-
that's
I mean,
a
but-
that's a far stretch. Me saying the Indian Jesus, but I didn't mean that from the standpoint of, him being a martyr for the Indian tribes,
Right.
but more so in a sense of a motherfucker that if you'd have just believed him, probably would have been in a better spot.
No doubt. Well, and what's interesting is, at least in the way the play is told, is that he basically, his little brother fucked it up. Like, he told his little brother not to take any actions that would basically give the whites an excuse to come in and obliterate them, and his little brother fucked it up. So basically, his little brother started shit before he had managed to gather the tribes from the south and bring them to a more central location, but could have united 50,000 Native Americans at a time when our armies...
So maybe he wasn't the Indian Jesus, he was the Indian LeBron James.
He's building the super teams.
And picking the wrong people to run them.
Right.
Why the fuck you have your brother out there? Why is AD out there running the army when... Why does he have pull like that? So I'm saving the other guy, not Tecumseh. In the what is that? The Ubisoft Walking Dead choice. Yeah, Tecumseh's dead because you're dumb for setting us up by putting this man in position when you know he didn't have no business being there.
Yeah, Telltale.
Telltale. I said Ubisoft.
All the same shit, whatever.
Is it?
No, because Telltale doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Telltale made like the Game of Thrones Telltale game, and then no, that one finished.
I saw it. I never played it.
It was the last season of The Walking Dead that basically the developers finished and published on their own the final episode. Like after the company shut down, they finished out the game kind of on their own just because they felt like fans deserved it.
All right. That's what's up.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm sure they made a little bit off of it.
Oh, I'm sure they did too, because I think they actually got bought or picked up by, funny enough, at the time, Collider, which was the home of Schmodown for a minute.
Kaleidoscope?
Basically.
What is that in the chat? Is that the chat?
Yeah, Donovan put like a bunch of emojis and shit.
Fucking child, Donovan.
Nothing better to do. He brought up when we were talking about video games and playing back with a different character. He's like, okay, so if I'm playing Madden or something like for a 14-year-old like me, I would go back and retire and have to make a character. I would make a totally different type of player, right? I'm like,
yeah, that's similar.
Same
but,
idea.
But
You play it through the first time as a defensive end, and then you go back and you play it as a safety.
Nah, that's not fun, man.
No, playing defensive players in video games is never fun.
Right.
Because it never gives you the camera angle. It never gives you what you need to be successful.
Right.
Even with, like, player lock and shit.
Yeah, nah, that, man.
You still on getting Madden?
Yeah, I think I
for
might.
this season?
I think I might.
I might do it just to get the updated, like, I think the last one that I really played was 2019.
Mine was 18 or 19, whichever one had Tom Brady on the cover.
Yeah. And none of the Bills
Patriots.
players were there, so.
Right.
Josh Allen was in his rookie year at that point. Stephon Diggs wasn't there.
Well, I'm used to playing people with the Raiders even if they suck, so this year might actually be a year where...
You get some wins?
All right. Well, no, I get wins regardless, man. I get wins regardless, man.
All I'm waiting for is college to come back. I just wanted... Really, I just want an alternative to Madden.
Right.
And I hope when they rebuild the college game that they focus on the gameplay more than can we get the rights to so-and-so. Because honestly, I don't give a fuck about the college players being in the college game. I really don't. Let me have a different kind of offense. Let me run option style plays, RPOs, all that shit with controls that make sense and are responsive when you push the fucking button. Because if I try to pitch the ball in Madden one more time and it doesn't work, I'm going to put my controller through the television.
Madden to get you there.
It doesn't. It doesn't let you do any of that shit.
Madden to definitely get you to wanting to break something.
It's just such bullshit.
I mean...
And it went downhill when Y was no longer enough to catch the ball. When you had to push 3 different buttons or figure out which of the 3 buttons you should push.
Wait, when did that happen?
4 or 5 years ago. Where like Y is an aggressive catch, A is more of a catch and run, and B is more like a secure the football kind of catch.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And maybe that's just in career mode, or maybe it's based on the control setup you do, but
Yeah, I
shit
didn't know
irritates
that.
me. Shit irritates me. I don't like it. And to the earlier point, running the football in Madden, while not impossible, is harder than it should be.
The only time I ever control my wide receiver on a route is like a streak anyway.
Well, it's not even controlling. It's when it flips over after you release the ball. You don't push a button to make him catch it. You just let him catch. I have not found that to be
unless
successful.
it's a streak, right? And then I got time to run to the
adjust
ball
it
or
and get it.
But yeah, if it's like an out or a slant, nah, I just let him catch it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel you on that. I feel like the percentage is higher when
Right, because if you hit it at the right time.
The user catch is a higher percentage.
But usually if I'm throwing a quicker pass, I don't have time to hit Y for the guy to...
No. Not if you're hitting like a quick slant or
right.
something. I'm with you there.
But yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm just waiting on that boxing.
What's the release date there?
I don't know. They got the beta release is supposed to be at the end of August.
This is back where I said it'll delay for 3 more months, and then you'll see Fight Night on the front of it.
We'll see. We'll see.
They will reskin it Fight Night. Because EA will get their hands on it and then be like, fuck you, we're doing our thing.
I don't know. The only reason why I don't know for sure is because, I mean, like I said, it started with a company of just 20 people. You know what I mean? And they've been bringing their people in, so I feel like...
There's probably a huge pride of ownership, but I bet you EA can come in with some serious money and just buy out the studio. You know what I mean? And it'll be Fight Night by that game studio.
Right.
Instead of whatever.
I don't think they would like that either.
I mean, they could not like it, but money talks, dude.
No, I'm saying I don't think Fight Night would like that.
No.
Yeah, I don't think Fight Night would like it.
I mean, but
if it wasn't by EA Sports.
Well, all right. Here's the thing, though. Like, EA isn't even EA anymore. Like, there are different like game studios that develop. Like, EA is more of a distribution network now than studios.
Oh, really?
Now, that's not to say they don't have their own I'm sure they still do have their own game studios, but I feel like everything is, like, even BioWare is, like, published via EA. Like, you could play, if you're on EA Play or whatever, like, Mass Effect and all those games are there because BioWare is owned by EA. Or they have, like,
I think Fight Night's different, though.
Might be right. I don't know.
I don't even think that there would be a lot of people that would like to see that Fight Night logo with any other
style game.
Right. Well, any other
unless it really is revolutionary and game changing. Like, to your point of your previous points around, like, if you have more ultimate control in it, and I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know. I don't give a fuck who puts it out. I just want it.
You just want the game, yeah. Well, dude, it is earlier than usual, but I think you and I are both fading.
Yeah.
And I've got a scrimmage at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, which means I got to be there by 9. You got anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to get off your chest, sir?
Nothing on my chest. Nah, nothing on my chest.
All right. Well, we're going to call it early tonight. Any last words for the people, Mr. Jennings?
Love everybody. Protect yourself at all times. It's a fight out here.
Always. And with that, peace out, fools. Have a good evening.